I went to work for ICA, for the International Council on Archives in Paris as the Deputy Secretary General in January of 1995. ICA had been asked by colleagues in the archives in former Yugoslavia to show some solidarity. And so a proposal emerged shortly after I arrived in Paris that we should send somebody to former Yugoslavia to look at the archives. And so I made a trip at the end of March, I think it was, of 1995, first to Mostar and then on to Sarajevo. And it was my experience then that showed me really of the value of what was of the cultural heritage material and the degree to which it was really at threat as a result of the war that was going on there. And that carried on, and it really upped the emphasis within ICA to do something about this. And so it was that really fed in, I think, to the discussions that we had with colleagues in ICOM, who were also headquartered in Paris, and then also with IFLA. We had very good relations with IFLA there too, although they were based in the Netherlands, and then with ICOMOS as well. And so that really is how that I think ICA and I got involved in what became the Blue Shield Initiative. The work, I think, had gone on, though, very much between myself, Marie-Thérèse for IFLA, Dinu for ICOMOS, and of course Patrick for ICOM. And the four of us, I think, as a group, we got on well, and that was, I think, we trusted each other. I think that was another very important element in making this work, because we were all therefore able to convince our own organisations that this was something very well worth doing. And I think that was really quite instrumental in producing what became the Blue Shield. It was my meeting first of all, with Patrick Boylan, that I think as a result of all the work he had done on the effectiveness or otherwise of the 1954 Hague Convention. And as you know, that's where the symbol was enshrined. I think it was probably from him that the idea came that we should use this, but it was also one that, of course, that UNESCO were very happy about, and I think it very quickly became this is the symbol that we should have. This is the emblem that we should be looking for, and it had the benefit because, of course, it was named in an international convention. It had a great deal of what should I say, of clout. Already, it was already officially recognised as a symbol, and one with already had some a legal protection in as far as how far it could be used. Interestingly, it was really only when I first went to former Yugoslavia that I began to see the Blue Shield. I had been completely unaware of this as being a marker for heritage sites and buildings, but it was definitely very much used there. Not particularly, not particularly in a dramatic way, but a lot of buildings would have a small blue shield outside, alongside the nameplate, and that was again something else that I think that came home to me really only as a result of having been there. We had quite big debates because a little later, after the Radenci seminar in late 1995, we held another one in London, probably a year or two later, and we got people coming from a number of different countries, and we debated this issue. We had people from the Croatian archives there, and they were really giving us examples of cases where buildings in Croatia had been targeted by the National Yugoslav Army. And attacked. We came to the conclusion at that point, and I think this is still my strong view on this, that the Red Cross has been fired upon in conflicts across the world, but there's never been any suggestion that we should stop using it. And I feel the same about the Blue Shield. Yes, there's a slight risk that you are making something a little bit more obvious, But on the other hand, it's likely that people who want to do the damage probably know where the sites are anyway. And if there's a clear marker upon them, then it is a clear breach of international law for them to be attacked without very, very good reason. One of the things that has struck me, it is 25 years since I had really very much to do with this, but looking at Blue Shield International, at the website and the work that has been done, it's very interesting to see how far the military has become a part of the organization, not part of the organization, but very much in the part of the debate. And that's something I think that came across at the Radency seminar we held in '95, and it certainly came across again in the London meeting that we had, that Patrick hosted at City University, where we managed to, I was by this time working back in Edinburgh, and one of my colleagues who also came to the meeting said, well, how do we get hold of the army? And she said, tell you what, I'll look up in the phone book. So she looked up the phone book at Edinburgh, and after several phone calls, got through to somebody who was a member of the Royal Engineers, British Army's section that deals with such things. And he came along to this seminar in London, and he was a tremendous asset because he had knowledge about what military forces would do, why they would react, and he could also tell us how they would react to things that we were talking about, in other words, things about the protection. And that came across to me. This is very important. We have to have a dialogue with the military. If we don't have that dialogue, then really it's, we're not wasting our time, but our effectiveness will be very much less. And so that's, I think, very important. And I'm delighted to see that BSI, Blue Shield International, there's a big emphasis upon that, and that this is in fact being built into some of the national legislation on the subject as well. The more cooperation there can be nationally and internationally between the humanitarian side and the heritage side, the better. That's another thing that really came across to me, I think, subsequent, in fact, to my visit to Yugoslavia, was the role, essentially, that the ICRC has in this, and their importance as an organization that is really working for very similar aims. And it doesn't detract from I think, perhaps the fundamental importance of the human, if you like, the people. But nonetheless, I think the argument, I think, has to be that the people are a totality, and people are not just their physical bodies; they are also their culture and so on. And I think that's where if you like, the relationship between the humanitarian and the heritage needs to come together, because after that mutual recognition, that these two are intertwined and important. I think the idea of a triangle is a good one. I think that's really what we're talking about here. There are these different elements, and the effectiveness of each one, I think, is really dependent upon the other two. Again, the relative weights, perhaps, the relative importances of each one might vary according to the circumstance and according to the organizations and the people involved, but essentially those three are essential, I think, to the protection, really, of humanity and of humanity's heritage. Perhaps that's the way of putting it.